Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Anne and today I'm bringing you a very long overdue book haul. Over the last few months I have collated a lot of books, and one of the main factors of all of these books is the Ages of Pages book fair that I attended last weekend with all of my amazing, wonderful friends. I got to see authors that we interviewed on the podcast, the Broke Book Girls podcast. I'll link that down below and up above if you want to check it out. And finally getting some of the shelf trophies of art books that I arc read many months ago. And it's just been a lot of fun. Quite a few of these are also from publishers. I've kind of separated them into the different categories. So we've got publishers, we've got bought myself, then we've got the Ages of Pages book fair, and then we have some birthday gifts because it is my birthday in 2 days. So the first stack that I want to talk about is publisher mail, and the main publisher that I got all of these books from is Allen and Unwin. They are a New Zealand publisher that I really love, and I'm so lucky to be part of the influencer team. And all of these books I'm very excited for. So let me grab the pile and then we'll talk through them. Alrighty, so the first book on top of the pile is Periodic Bitch by Emma Hardy, and this is a memoir of menstruation, madness, and monsters. I cannot wait for this. The cover is stunning. So every 29 days, Emma Hardy becomes angry, monstrous, and out of control. Then it passes and she forgets about it, until it cycles around again, of course. When a doctor diagnoses her with PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, she begins to question when a mood is just a mood and when a mood becomes an illness. Searching for truth between the myths and taboos that surround menstruation, Hardy stumbles across crime scenes, feminist horrors, and the history of historical illnesses. With unwavering honesty, Periodic Bitch offers a new understanding of our beliefs about female illnesses and the stories we tell. This sounds like right up my alley. I've definitely been getting into more non-fiction, so you can bet that you're going to see a lot of non-fiction on a bunch of these lists and a bunch of these books. So that is one that I'm hoping to dig into very soon because it just sounds amazing and I cannot wait for it. The next one is Solace House, and this cover just honestly drew me in, and this is by Will McLean, and this sounds so interesting, but this cover I think is one of my favorite covers so far that I've seen. So in the summer of 1993, broke student Alex Lane joins a team clearing out Solace House, a Victorian mansion bequeathed to the university by a reclusive hoarder called Flame. The other students are a mixed bunch, but Alex quickly falls into a close friendship with the lively red-headed Ella. When the crew begins sorting through piles of junk, they stumble upon Flail's journals, in which he details his obsession with his missing mother, his discovery of a place called Be Wise, and most mysteriously, his belief in another realm lying parallel to ours, along with coded instructions as to how it might be reached. As the students delve deeper into the house's secrets, one of them becomes obsessed with deciphering Flame's strange opus and its promise of another world. And they may be willing to sacrifice everything and everyone to get there. This sounds so freaking good. And I just, like, all of these books, I cannot wait to read. It's very strange because the last few weeks I've been so overwhelmed with all of these amazing books that are around me that I'm struggling to choose books to read, and I'm really struggling to just choose because I'm very overwhelmed by my TBR. I've got so many books that I want to read and I don't know what to do with myself. The next one is Slash by Gavin Strawman, and this is A Town in Ruins, A Deadly Secret, A Killer on the Loose. So this is a thriller, which I'm excited about. So a year after a brutal shootout, ex-police sergeant Honey Chalmers is a hot mess, drinking too much and eating too little, working casual gigs for a shady firm of private investigators while holding conversations with a ghost. A desperate father asks her to investigate his missing son, a double murder suspect last seen during the chaos of Cyclone Gabrielle. Honey's quest brings her in conflict with dangerous locals and takes her from the wrecked forest of Tarawafiti to the dark side of Fiji, into the orbit of a strange, secretive teen, a deranged forestry boss, and a terrifying ex-cop turned drug lord. The closer Honey gets to the truth, the closer she comes to spinning out of control, leading to a final showdown with a killer who'd do anything to keep the past buried. Doesn't that sound so freaking good? I cannot wait to get into this one. Another one that sounds right up my alley and one that I've been so excited for is Song of the Saltings by Rachel King. This is a atmospheric folk horror fantasy set in a world both terrifying and mysterious. On the isolated island of Brack, the people live by an ancient bargain. Every year, a sacrifice must be made to the Glim, the creature that haunts the salt marshes. 8 years after the monster spared her, 16-year-old Lotta tends to the council's sacrificial horses and keeps her distance from the villagers who whisper about her fate. But something is stirring. The island is dying, it hums beneath her feet, and a song threads through her dreams. Is the Glim calling Lotta back? A chance encounter with Moss, a village outcast, will change both their lives and the fate of the island forever. To uncover Brack's deepest secrets, Lotta and Moss will need to trust each other and risk everything they hold dear. Because on Brack, monsters come in many forms. Doesn't that sound so freaking good? Oh my god. It's so freaking good. The next one is A Murder is Going Down by Kate Emery. And this is like a YA murder mystery from what I know. And I'm very excited. Heidi is meant to be having the time of her life on exchange in Switzerland, but instead she's cold, alone, and on an involuntary dairy-free diet. But when she hears the news of her brother Felix's death, she's quick to jump on the first plane home to Perth. To completely honest, Felix wasn't that much of a brother, so Heidi's not that sad, but she's not exactly happy either. Thanks to an epic betrayal by her ex-best friend and ex-boyfriend, Heidi has absolutely nothing to do and no one to talk to. No one, that is, except Patrick, the wisecracking younger brother of Felix's widow, who convinces Heidi that they need to investigate her brother's mysterious demise. Can Heidi and Patrick get to the bottom of Felix's death, and do they really want to? So, yeah. It says, the Queen of Cozy Crime strikes again with a compelling mystery that will keep readers guessing to the very last page. So this kind of gives me A Good Girl's Guide to What's it called? Yeah, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Kind of that YA murder mystery type of a vibe. The next one is Whispering Rooms by Genki Kawamura and Marie Kondo. This is a fiction with a little bit of fantastic element. So Miko is a professional tidier with a secret. When she enters a room, she is greeted by the voices of every object inside. Visiting her clients, she finds the whispering wardrobe filled with chatty clothes, the singing study full of talkative books, the bickering kitchen with its disgruntled drawers of cutlery, and more. Each item, a book, a childhood toy, a jar of miso paste, evokes a new memory for its owner, and when starts as a simple task of tidying a room, becomes something profound and life-affirming. With the help of her talking box, Hako, Miko helps people reconnect to themselves and their loved ones through the items that they find in their rooms. As they sort through the rooms, they discover what is truly important in their lives and what it takes to spark joy. So this kind of collates back to Marie Kondo's kind of vibe. If it doesn't bring you joy, get rid of it. So yeah, I really like that, and I'm excited to get into it. And there is these gorgeous illustrations throughout, which I think is stunning. The next one is The Lies That Summon the Night by Tessonia Odette. And I've heard a lot of good things about this author, so I was very excited that this one got sent to me. When art birthed vicious shadow monsters hungering for those who created it, all forms of creative expression were banned. But the immortal royals destined to be humanity's salvation have their own monstrous affliction. They need to consume human blood. Ayana's illegal storytelling has turned her fugitive. She has evaded capture so far, continuing to weave tales for the most desperate, until Shadowbane catches one of her performances. Dominic is filled with as much bloodlust as the shadow hunter monsters he hunts, and he needs an artist to summon them. He gives Ayana an ultimatum: serve him or he'll claim her bounty. As their tense alliance leads them into the heart of danger, the greatest risk is a desire growing between them. There's something more sinful than lust at play, and it could bring the world to its knees. Sounds amazing. Cannot wait. Then we have Paper Cut by Rachel Taff. This is another sort of murder mystery crime novel, and Lucy Golden is a true crime icon, infamous for killing someone as a teenager while escaping a Californian cult led by her father. 20 years later, still coasting on the success of a memoir she wrote after her acquittal, Lucy knows that her story is always just one news cycle away from obscurity, even as online trolls ask questions that threaten to tear her life apart. So when a hotshot documentary filmmaker decides to make her case his next subject, Lucy sees a chance to silence her doubters once and for all. Just how far will Lucy go to protect the story she's been telling and selling all along? Sounds great. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of secrets that come out. And from a quick look through, I think we jump back and forth in time between the past and present timeline. And we get some excerpts throughout, which is good. Then we have another one that I've already read and had a great time with, and that is The Mushroom Murders by Greg Hadrick. This is a true crime story that has a little bit of a twist, where Greg Hadrick kind of talks about the court case of Erin Patterson and through the eyes of a juror. So on July 29th, 2023, Erin Patterson hosted a family lunch at her home in a small regional Victorian town in Leongatha. She had invited her parents-in-law, Dawn and Gail Patterson, and Gail's sister Heather Wilkinson, and her husband Ian. Erin made beef Wellington for her guests. Individual beef eye fillets covered in a mushroom paste wrapped in pastry. The following day, all 4 guests were taken to hospital, and Heather, Gail, and Dawn died. Ian Wilkinson barely survived. A toxicologist found traces of highly poisoned death cap mushrooms in the remains of the meal. At first, it appeared to be a dreadful accident. As the police investigation continued, the evidence mounted, seeming to point one way. Yet Erin Patterson spun a web of lies and steadfastly claimed she did not intend to harm her relatives. Greg Haddock tells the fascinating inside story of the dramatic murder trial and the forensic evidence that convinced the jury to convict a suburban mother of a gruesome triple murder. With many details not previously revealed in the media, it is a compelling story of a troubled family and the world's most poisonous mushroom, which is readily found in parks and gardens. So I really love this one. It almost feels like a fiction story, but it's not. The only fiction side of it is actually the thoughts and biases of the juror that is kind of telling this story. And I just really, really loved it and had a great time. The next one is The Dead Husband's Cookbook by Danielle Valentine, and I cannot wait for this one. It sounds so good. Maria Capello is a celebrity chef like no other, a household name with dozens of cookbooks and a weekly television show, not to mention her own line of best-selling supermarket sauces. Once just the timid wife of famous chef Damien Capello, she stepped into the spotlight after his mysterious disappearance, an event she's never spoken about publicly until now. Why is Maria willing to break her silence? When editor Thea Woods is invited to Maria's remote farmhouse to work on the manuscript of her tell-all memoir, Thea spots an opportunity. She could be the one to learn whether the rumors are true. Did Maria kill Damon for his recipes and the legendary secret ingredient, or is the truth even darker? And this cover is just insane and so eye-catching with the hand holding the meat. So yeah, loved it. I'm very excited for that one. And it says Knives Out meets the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So I'm excited. So that is all of the publishing mail that I've gotten over the last few months. So now we will go through the books that I've been gifted. Some of these were for my birthday, and then some is just as a thank you for for my friend. So this one is Eldrith Manor by Leigh Rivers and Avina St. Graves. I arc read this, and then my wonderful friend Bree sent this to me off my wish list as a thank you, because I gave her a rundown of the chapters so she could kind of read the book, because one of the triggers in here she couldn't read it. But this is about a young girl whose sister has passed away, and on a mission of grief, she decides that she's going to try and summon her sister back. And a demon turns up, kills her, and then they are living in this house while this demon is trying to get back to hell because he is stuck. And this is so fun. I had the best time with this, and I just love this book. It's so good. It was a 5-star read for me, one of my absolute favorites. Then I've got this pile of books that I'm very excited to show you. These are gifts from my wonderful friends for my birthday. And because I was with them last weekend, they just gave me my gifts early and let me open them. So we have Fake Dates and Mooncakes by Cher Lee. This is a male contemporary romance. Love wasn't on the menu. Meet Dylan Tang. He juggles school and delivery runs for his aunt's struggling Chinese takeout in Brooklyn. Winning a mooncake competition could bring the publicity they need to stay afloat. Enter Theo Sommers, a charming wealthy customer who convinces Dylan to be his fake date to a family wedding full of crazy rich drama. The romance is supposed to be just for show, but soon Dylan's falling for Theo. For real. With the mooncake contest looming, Dylan can't risk being distracted by rich people problems. Can he save his family's business and follow his heart, or will he fail to do both? This sounds just so cute, and I'm very excited to read this. So thank you, Clara Maylee, for gifting this to me for my birthday. This one was an absolute shock when I opened it. So this is also from Clara May, and this is the German edition of Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Like, what do you mean? Why is this so freaking gorgeous? Like, I can't. Like, I'm sad that I can't read German. And now I have to try and find Fourth Wing and Onyx Storm in these editions because holy fuck, it's amazing. So massive thank you to Clara May for giving this to me. I cannot thank you enough. Then we have the wonderful Rosie, who gifted me the next 3 books in the Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is one of my favorite series of all time. I read the Bone Season and I read the Mime Order last year. So we've got the Mime Order, the Song Rising, and the Mask Falling. So that means I only need 1 more book before I have the whole collection, which is amazing. I love this series with my whole entire heart, and I cannot wait to dig into the Song Rising and the Mask Falling. I cannot wait. And then the wonderful Maddie gifted me the Frozen by Stardust, although I'm not 100% sure if this was a gift or I do have to pay Maddie, so I will have to check that. But this is the 5th book in the Beast of the Briar series. We have buddy read the whole series together. So this is the newest release and we have to buddy read this, so I'm very, very excited. And then speaking of the Beast of the Briar series, my wonderful friend Steph had a duplicate copy of Bonded by Thorns, which is book 1 in the series that I didn't own. I own book 2, 3, and 4, and she gifted me book 1 because she had a spare copy. So massive thank you to Steph for this one. We have so many books, guys. That is my gifted books. Now let's go into some of the books that I've bought for myself over the last. And this is a bit of a hefty stack. So, I have been recently getting into a lot of personal curriculum, nonfiction. So, quite a few of these book purchases are about topics that I'm really, really interested in and want to study. And then a lot of them are nonfiction because I have been wanting to beat the brain rot. So, the first 2 ones are Heroes and Odyssey by Stephen Fry. This is his Greek myth retelling. So I found these in the clearance bin at the local warehouse. Fortunately, they didn't have book 1 and book 3. So this is 2 and 4. But I've been told that you can read these as standalones. But I am going to hope that I can find book 1 and 4. Or whatever I said. Over the next couple of months. But I had to pick these up because they were on clearance. And they were like $3 a pop. So I had to. Then we have book 2 of the Daughter of the Drowned Empire series. And this is Guardian of the Drowned Empire. I read book 1 last year and I really, really enjoyed it. So I definitely wanted to pick this one up. This is also in the clearance bin for like $3. So I had to pick it up. Like, are you kidding me? There's no way I wasn't picking it up. So this is a sequel. It's going to be following on from the end of book 1, which was insane. Then I bought Direbound and Furybound by Sable Sorensen. So Furybound I bought because it is our book club read for my book club, my local book club here in Kerry. And I bought Direbound because I loved it so much. I read it from the library and I just had to pick it up. So if I was buying book 2, I had to buy book 1 to match. Like, come on. Direbound is a fantasy romance where we're following our main character who is on the search for her sister and ends up having to join the army to do that, and then ends up getting pulled into these deadly trials because it is now the year of the bonding trials, and she has to try and bond with the direwolf. She ends up bonding with this direwolf who is absolutely feral and wants nothing to do with her, and it's just a lot of fun. The ending was insane, so I'm very excited to read this month. And like I was saying with the personal curriculum sort of thing, I also picked up a couple of classics that I wanted to start reading as well. And these are in the clearance bin. So I got The Red Badge of Courage by Stephen Crane. This sounds really, really interesting. So this follows a young Henry Fleming as he sets out to fight with the Union Army in the American Civil War. However, upon seeing the horrors of the battlefield, Fleming's initial enthusiasm and desire for glory soon turn to fear and terror. Wishing to return home, he attempts to flee several times before finding reasons to stay and fight with his comrades. So this is brimming with brave action and bloody conflict. The Red Badge of Courage captures the raw emotions felt by soldiers facing violence and death. This is a story of bravery, redemption, and finding courage in the face of unspeakable horrors. This sounds really, really interesting, and especially with the everything that's happening in the world right now. I think this is really good to kind of get the perspective of soldiers who are actually in war. Then I picked up The Merchants of Venice. I did study this in school, and I don't know, this is something that I actually am interested in, but I probably should give it another try. This is by William Shakespeare. I did study this in school, so I know the story, but it's definitely going to be interesting actually reading Shakespeare language again, because I haven't done that. But I think this also breaks it down quite nicely, which is good. So I'll be able to go through this and kind of, at the end of each act, I think it kind of breaks things down, which I think is really good. And we have lots of notes and things, so I think this would be good to study at some point. Then we got Princess of Mars, and this is by Edgar Rice Burroughs, and this sounds really, really interesting. So John Carter, a Civil War veteran, here's a new name. Here's a new opportunity in the Arizona desert. When he arrives there, he finds himself unexpectedly transported to a different planet known as Barsoom to its inhabitants. After being taken prisoner by the green, six-limbed aliens known as the Tarks, he uses his wits to earn the respect of his captors and rise through the ranks. But when the Tarks capture Deja Thoris, Princess of Helium, he soon finds himself embroiled in a conflict that will shake the foundations of Martian society. Falling in love with the new captain, Carter must use every means at his disposal to free the princess and return her to her people. Can Carter save the love of his life, and how will his actions shape the fate of the planet? So this sounds like the movie John Carter, so I'm hoping that this is actually the kind of influence for that movie. So I might read this and then watch the movie and have a really fun time. Then we have some fiction that I want to show you guys. We have Dagger Math by H.M. Wolf. This is the book of the year. This is blown up, and I have read this and loved it. I read it on Kindle, highlighted the shit out of it, had to own the indie edition because it has gone trad. When the trad edition comes, you bet your bottom I'm going to be picking that up, rereading and annotating the shit out of the trad published version. And I've got a special edition ordered. So I love this book. This is a dystopian romance where we're following our main character, Shadira, who ends up being hired to kill the governor's son. It goes wrong and they end up in a marriage, or an arranged marriage, to kind of bring the world together. And shit goes down. It is true enemies to lovers. Like, they try and kill each other multiple times throughout this book, and it is so good. And the ending was insane. And I just cannot believe that that book exists. Then I got a gorgeous special edition of Crown of Olympus by Kate Asher. So this arrived very, very recently, and I did pre-order it back in January. But this is one of my favorite books of last year. This is a Greek mythology, a Greek-inspired mythology book where we're following the daughter of Hades, who has to enter a deadly competition to win the crown of Olympus and become the ruler of Olympus because Zeus is dead. This edition is stunning. One of my favorite books of all time. Favorite books of last year. It's just amazing. And then we've got some non-fiction that I want to pick up. So, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. This is faced with the job he detested in an apartment he despised. Dale Carnegie decided it was time to change how he went about life. The result was the best-selling How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, the classic inspirational text that provides practical advice on how to live a rewarding and healthy life free from worry. So, it's first published in 1948. So it is a non-fiction, but it's also a classic at the same time. So I'm excited to see how this goes. And yeah, it was cheap. It was in the clearance bin, and I needed to check it out. Then we have Make It Make Sense, Shit You Should Care About by Lucy Blackiston and Belle Hawkins. This caught my eye. The flowers are beautiful. It's a hardcover book. And yeah, Belle and Luce don't claim to have all the answers, but if you've been there, they likely have too. From navigating algorithm angst and reimagining solitude as chick, not bleak, to trusting your gut and learning how to strengthen it. This is the book to hold on to when you're straddling online and real life has never felt so complicated. So sharp it'll make you wince, so solid, honest that you might feel uncomfortable with what's reflecting back at you, and so funny you'll want to send it to your best friend. Make It Make Sense is a collage of cultural analysis, Anecdotes, personal essays, poems, and exchanges into plays like a conversation between friends. It's the bedside table essential for women who are feeling their way through life in search of validation. Sounds good. Sounds like it's just going to be you and your bestie sitting down having a chat. And yeah, I am very excited. So, Chapter 1, How I Make Money Is Not the Way I Die. Chapter 2, Why We Need to Go Far Away from Where We Came From. Chapter 3, Friendship. Chapter 4, The Part Where Someone You Love Dies. Chapter 5, Phoenixing. Chapter 6, On Falling in Love or Not. Chapter 7, Staying Sane in the Matrix. Chapter 8, Ugh, Let Me Live. And Epilogue, Tell Me What I Need to Hear, which is that everything's going to be okay. So, sounds great, and I cannot wait to jump into this. And this one was a bit rude, if I do say myself. I was rummaging through the clearance bin and Ryan picked this one up and he was like, you need to read this. And I think this is a call out. But this is Different, Not Less, a neurodivergence guide to embracing your true self and finding your happily ever after by Chloe Hayden. And I just turned around and I was like, are you trying to say something? I have been on a bit of a journey trying to figure out, because I think I do have some form of neurodivergence. Not 100% sure what it is, but I think that this will be good for me. I have sat down with a bunch of my friends who have been diagnosed as neurodivergent, and a lot of the things that they have been struggling with, I also struggle with. So there's a high chance that I do have neurodivergence. So I think that this one will be good. So, growing up, Chloe Hayden felt like she'd crash landed on an alien planet where nothing made sense. Eye contact, small talk, and why are people so touch oriented? She moved between 10 schools in 8 years, struggling to become a person she believed society would accept, and was eventually diagnosed with autism and ADHD. When a life changing group of allies showed her that different did not mean less, she learned to celebrate her true voice and find her happily ever after. This is a moving, at times funny story of how it feels to be neurodivergent, as well as practical guide with advice for living with meltdowns and shutdowns, tips for finding supportive communities, and much more. So it sounds really, really good, really interesting, and I think this will hit hard. Yeah, so it has chapters on growing up quirky, school, sensory issues, stimming, meltdowns, shutdowns, and burnout, friends and sidekicks, mental health, seeking a diagnosis, settling into who you are, eye sparkles, adulting, and finding your happily ever after. And there is some really pretty illustrations throughout. So yeah, I think I'm going to have a good time with this one, even though it was a bit rude of Ryan to call me out in that way. So that is all of those books that I have bought. And now we've got our Ages of Pages book haul, which was a bit excessive, but a lot of them are books that I have already read, so I just wanted shelf trophies and books that I loved. There's a little handful of books that I haven't read yet, but by authors that I know and love. And then there was like 2 or 3 that I haven't heard anything. I haven't read anything from these authors, but they are highly, highly recommended. So we'll start with the contemporary first, because there's less of those and I am getting tired of talking. But at one of the stalls, there was Books for Less, which is a NZ secondhand bookshop, and they had some blind date with the books. And the blind date with the book that I got was the little prompt card. Oh, there we go. Is Home is where the heart is, so she'll do anything to save her family's farm, including marrying the wrong man. But if the right man isn't the groom, should she follow her heart or her head? And this piqued my interest. And it came with some gorgeous chocolate, a little bookmark. It came with some tea. It was just this beautifully packaged thing. And I'm kind of sad I didn't film unboxing it. But we got Where the Heart Is by Nicola Marsh. And this is Mila Hayes will do anything to keep her family's farm, including marrying the wrong man. But when the groom backs out at the last minute and Sawyer Man, her teen crush and her brother's best friend, witnesses her humiliation, Mila's hopes plummet. She doesn't believe Sawyer when he says he can help. She's done with short-term solutions. So how will Mila cope when she's fallen for Sawyer all over again and is forced into making a choice? Follow her head or her heart. Sawyer, now a high-powered land broker who fled Ash Reggie years ago to escape painful memories, is back temporarily and finds himself unexpectedly drawn to Mila. He keeps secrets from her in the past and pushed them apart. Can he convince Mila this time will be different? Meanwhile, Adelaide Hayes, who left her grumpy husband Jack 14 years ago to follow her dreams, is unsettled by memories resurrected at Mila's wedding. She's wary of a man tied to this town, but what if he can prove they can build a new future together? Sounds really good, and it's not something that I'd normally pick up, but it also kind of reminds me of a Wattpad story that I read many, many years ago, so I had to pick it up. Then I got book 2 and 3 in the Devil's Rose MC series by Cleo Brown. I have read the book 1 Rhodey, and I read the crossover August last year, and I had the best time. I picked up book 1 and book 2 at Ages of Pages last year, so I had to pick up the next 2 in the series. So we've got Wire and we've got Tab. So these are like interconnected standalones, but they are also kind of all within this one motorcycle group. But Wire, as a tech head and security specialist for Devil Rose MC, Wire has one mission: keep his brothers safe. His military past and PTSD make him fiercely protective and intensely focused. When an allied club requests help training a hacker, Wire finds himself with a beautiful shy student, her presence stirring something in him, challenging his disciplined existence. Growing up in the chaotic world of the Death Riders MC, Remy has perfected the art of invisibility. As her fractured club looks to rebuild, she's sent to learn from Wire at the Devil's Rose MC. Timid and uncertain, Remy realizes she must step out of the shadows and find her voice to be the person she's always wanted to be. With an old friend gunning from them and unknown enemies in the shadows, Wire and Remy must join forces to keep their families safe, all while trying to navigate their insecurities and growing attraction to each other. Thankfully, they have 2 motorcycle clubs, a vertically challenged murdery woman, a badass mama, and a cast of characters at their backs. Sit back and enjoy Wire and Remy's ride, featuring slightly unhinged girls' night, expanding foam, and strippers. I love Cleo Brown. She is an absolute insane human, and I love her to bits. If you want to know what Cleo Brown is like, check out the podcast that I'm going to link down below. That Brie and I interviewed Cleo, and it was the absolute most fun that we had. But we've got Tav, and this is Blanche Landry fought hard for her freedom, escaping the religious cult she was raised in, and now as a single mom of 4, her only mission is to take the entire twisted organization down. She's tough, determined, and fiercely protective of her kids, and nothing, especially man, can get in her way. Tav Toombs has other plans. The laid-back Toombs brother and a prospect of Devil's Rose MC has already claimed Blanche as his old lady, even if she doesn't know it yet. He's determined to protect her and her kids, but Blanche isn't sure if Tav's support means having her back or bulldozing her mission. Blanche isn't looking for a savior, but Tav's ready to prove he's more than that. He's her partner. Can she trust him enough to let him in, or will her drive for revenge keep him from the love and protection she never knew she needed? Add in enemies old and new, an online shopping mix-up, and a gator, and this is about to get wild. Like, they are insane, and I love them so, so much. Going on to a completely different side of contemporary, we have the Wildflower Ridge series. So we've got book 1, which is In Full Bloom, and book 2, Coming Up Roses. And this is an interconnected standalone series where we're following a group of people who work on the Wildflower Ridge. These are Kiwi cowboys with second chance romance. We have friends to lovers. We have one night stand turned boss. It's just a great time, and I love this series with my whole entire heart. I read book 1 last year. I read book 2, book 3, book 4 in quick succession in January in preparation for book 4 release. I still need to read book 5, but I had to start building my collection. So In Full Bloom follows Katie. She is returning to the small town that she swore she would never return to, and her life kind of falls apart and she has to go back to work. And all of a sudden she ends up with a hookup, and when she goes to work the next day, she finds out that the hookup is her now boss. This one is Abigail. She is kind of finally getting her life together. She is gone to Wildflower Ridge to kind of build her life, and turns out that her daughter and her ex-partner is actually living on this farm, and it's her story of finding love and kind of trusting herself again and learning to be around people, trusting herself and taking care of her daughter, and it's just beautiful. And we're following Flynn, the bestie, and he is great. Then we have book 4 in the Forbidden and Fruit Street series, which is She's All I Need by Jen Morris. I arc read this one. I owned book 1, 2, and 3, so I had to pick this one up at Ages of Pages, and I just had the best time with this one. I think this is one of my favorites. This is Boss's Daughter story. These are all forbidden age gap romances, and it's just a lot of fun. So in this one, we're following Iris, and she has always fumbled her way through life, one step behind everyone else, flunking out of college. And when her father forces her to work at his architecture firm to pay off her loans, she hits rock bottom. Then she meets a devastatingly sexy stranger in a bar who helps her forget everything for a little while until she walks into her dad's office, and she is now going to be his assistant. And it's kind of their will they, won't they romance. I picked up a couple more books from Esme Brett. So I read Heart Eyes last year at some point, and I picked up Eye Candy last year, but I had to pick this one up because it's just so fun. And my Brie reminded me about this book when she was reading it while she was in a reading slump. And then I got Wide Eyed, which is the second book in this series. We've got some not safe for work art that I can't show you because I might get in trouble, but this is following the best friend of the character in book 1 and the brother of the main character in book 1, and I love this so much. Lisa is, her whole life has imploded, and Mike kind of jokingly is like, hey, just come to New Zealand to get away, and she's like, bet. She turns up and just like turns Mike's life upside down. And then we got a bunch of books from Courtney Clark Michaels. Courtney Clark Michaels is just this amazing human, and I absolutely love her. And I got her bundle of novellas. So we've got Storm Warning, which I've already read. Courtney Clark Michaels, amazing. This is about Storm. She is a model who's getting death threats, and we meet Liam from book 3 in her other series, and kind of get his love story because he is hired to protect her. They kind of have this fake dating scenario, and then it kind of turns into not fake dating. Then we have Ginger Kisses, which is single mom Hillary. I haven't read this one. Might be a science whiz, but the formula for lasting love has escaped her. Not that this bothers her until she's forced to attend the wedding between her ex-husband and her half-sister on Valentine's Day in her hometown. When her colleague Jeremy offers to serve as a fake date for the wedding weekend, she gratefully accepts. Sure, Jeremy's reputation is more wham bam than thank you ma'am, but all she needs is a friend to sit beside and maybe to fetch her a wine or 6 while she avoids the gossip and pitying looks from her family. He's the ideal solution. Jeremy Hart is the perfect one-night boyfriend. Just ask the slew of beneficial friends he's been keeping company with since his last serious relationship came to a screaming halt 2 years ago. He's more than happy to put his good looks and charisma to use, helping a friend out at a difficult situation. But by the time Jeremy and Hillary get to Wanaka, suddenly his role as Hillary's faux beau starts to feel a little more real, and sharing a bed isn't helping his libido get the message that this situation with his boss is only temporary. One bed, one wedding, one weekend that might change everything. Ginger Kisses is a steamy, small-town novella that provides changing one variable is enough to create chemistry in the most unlikely of places. Then we have Counting Down, and this is Courtney Clark Michaels' like, fuck you to fascism. And I love it. This is her sapphic story. So journalist Tala Tulia doesn't let anything stand in the way of a story. When she's faced with redundancy, she jumps at the chance to work at Reality Bites, the hottest media company around. The only catch, it's writing a column offering relationship advice, and that's the only area Tala lacks knowledge. Enter Michaela Stone, Auckland's most famous madam. Michaela remembers what it's like to be a young woman trying to make it in the city, so when Tala approaches her about a consultancy role, she agrees to help. Sure, she's attracted to Tala, but that's not a problem. Michaela knows how to keep professional. But as the two women spend more time together for the sake of other people's stories, it becomes clear that they're writing a romance of their own. And as the clock ticks down on the old year, Tala and Michaela have decided if they're willing to rest their hearts and their reputations on a brand new start. Love it, cannot wait. And then we have Christmas in Paradise, which is when event planner Jessie Steele gets the opportunity to spend the Christmas period working on a tropical Pacific island of Avali. She jumps at the chance. Sure, the location is gorgeous, but more than that, she needs an excuse for avoiding her own family in the wake of her cousin's engagement news. Aspiring politician Penny is thriving in his role as an assistant to Prince Aleki's Pacific Outreach Program. Working with Jessie to collaborate their boss's schedules makes everything easier, so he's happy to help her with anything she needs in a valley. But a change in location needs to a change in their relationship, and soaring temperatures aren't just for the climate anymore. An unlucky in love event planner, an uptight, aspiring politician, will sharing calendars, dancing, and a Pacific paradise help them see that they are the greatest gift of all, could be right in front of them. I love all of these little novellas because they actually are side characters that we meet in her main series, which is the Pacific Passions. series that I've also read. So it's a lot of fun seeing these characters get their own little side stories. And I bought this at Ages and Pages last year. And the last one from Courtney Clark Michaels is Ada's and Cece's High School Revenge. I arc read this, had the best freaking time with this. This is unhinged female craziness, and I had the best time. And Courtney Clark Michaels wrote Welcome to the Shit Show in her little signings. So this is great. I love this one. This is about Ada and Cece. Ada is a kind of failing artist at the moment. She runs away back to Auckland to stay with her best friend, and the high school that she went to that was like the worst, the bane of her existence and destroyed her life basically, has a reunion, and she decides that she is going to get revenge on all the people that hurt her, and it's just this chaotic shit show, and I had the best freaking time. And this is also by Eve Dangerfield, so this was co-written by them, so that was one of the best reads. Hilarious, and I was cracking up the whole time I read it. And then we've got our last pile of books, which is all of the fantasy books. So the first book on this list is The Midnight Gate by S.K. Stapar. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, but this is highly recommended by a couple of my friends, and she would not let me leave Ages and Pages without buying this book. So it was peer pressure, but it does sound really, really good. So if she wants a life on the outside, she must survive a season at the Midnight Gate. Navina Nightfall is a cursed woman, locked in a tower since childhood with only one purpose, to cremate the dead. On ranking Eve, she finally makes an escape and makes her first enemy, Edric Sylvan, an alluring stranger who aids her until she reveals her name. Forgotten and unnoticed, Navina manages to compete for a rank and freedom, but when Eldrick sabotages her result, the council appoints Navina as protector to the most dangerous town in Veligard, Midnight Gate, along with Edric. When Midnight Gate is repeatedly attacked by the curse, Navina undergoes a spell that connects her to Edric and their superior, the seemingly charming Hartley, in exchange for a protective shield around the town. But as the spell unexpectedly draws Navina to a man who hates her, she must fight desires lying beneath her hard exterior. And while the secrets of her bloodline spill out, Navina is led to question who poses a greater threat, the cursed or the council of Veligard. It is a spicy, slow burn, enemies to lovers romantasy, perfect for fans of Fourth Wing, From Blood and Ash, and A Court of Thorns and Roses. And this just sounds so freaking good. And I got her to write one of her favorite quotes in the book. Together in my Slavic dress and his white shirt, I was starlight and he was the moon. Did they ever touch, the stars and the moon? Sounds good. So I'm very excited for that one. Then we have another one that Maddie was screaming about, even though she hasn't read it, but this sounds exactly like the type of book that I'm in need of, and that is A Look Beyond the Mist by Bridie Charles. She's the apothecary until fear names her a witch. For years, Everleigh Green has lived quietly in the woods of Sylvain, content to keep her small village, but when whispers of witch hunts sweep across the continent and Sylvain's new mayor, Sir Hawthorne, arrives, her peace shatters. As the village apothecary, Everleigh soon finds herself under scrutiny, with guards on every corner and fear taking root in Sylvan soil, and the public execution of a neighbour forces her to make a choice: let terror silence her or fight back. We do not hide. But when a blacksmith with secrets of his own enters her life, he upends everything Everleigh thought she knew, forcing her to question the truths she clung to and the boy who has always been her refuge. As tension rises and secrets unravel, Everleigh is caught between two men in a battle she never knew was hers to fight. In a war against injustice, will she bloom or will she burn? I don't know if this is actually fantasy, but the whole thing about witches kind of gives me that vibe, so we shall see. But I also got her to write her favorite quote in one of the books, and it's time to face the music witch. I cannot wait to read this one. It sounds so freaking good. This is one that I've already read, but this is Black Night Falls by Shay Torrell. I beta read this for Shay, so it was great to finally have this on my shelf to join book 1, 2, and 3. This is a male reverse Why Choose Fated Mates sort of scenario. We're following Oak, Beckett, and the Count, who are characters that we followed throughout. Beckett is actually someone new in this story, so it was great to see him in this one. It's about a vampire, a witch, and a shapeshifter, so it's a lot of fun. Had the best time. Another one that I read for the podcast was The Betrayal of Fire by Eliza Irwin. and I had a great time with this one. This is 5 guardians with the powers of the gods, one agent bet over humanity's survival. It's these gods who have to try and keep the whole world safe. Then we have A Tale of Cursed Tides by T.R. Shering. This is a reverse Little Mermaid retelling, and I absolutely love this one. Then we have Some Monster Romance by Kay Wish. I don't really know much about them, but I am very excited, and I cannot wait. Then we have book 2 and book 3 in the Tarracona Chronicles by AJ and Dove. This is a fantasy romance with dragons. Had a great time with it. Cannot wait for book 2 and book 3. Then we have book 2 and book 3 in her Cities of Cloud and Earth series, which is a dystopian series. And then we've got When Sorrow Fell for Rapture, which is book 3 in the When Deities Awaken series. I also read this and had the best time, and I cannot wait. And then we have The God Genome by Athena M. Bliss, which is Greek mythology, chaos, and fan family. I had to speed run through those because my battery is about to die. So if you like this video, make sure to give it a like, comment down below if you've read any of these books, and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Bye.